But let's move to things that have gone well, right? SaaS, e-commerce, fintech, these are stories that have played out really well over the last few years in India. In however you want to do is, take us through what's happening in these independent worlds, and how they're learning from sort of each other in terms of business models, and going outside of India. That's something that we discuss. I'd love to hear it from you.
I'll try and cover these three. I won't go a lot into depth because obviously time is limited, but I'll cover one hero aspect of each of these three, right? And so, if you take, for example, SaaS, the story really is what we call global SaaS, right? In startups which leverage the Indian engineering nous, the engineering mind, leverage that talent to build products which are large amount of the revenue comes from the West, like Zoho, Freshdesk, more than 90% comes, ChargeBee, you name it, more than 90% comes from the West. So they begin in Bangalore or Chennai or sometimes in Gurgaon or Pune as well. But really, they find their customers in Seattle or Austin or London or Hamburg or whatever. And this is the story of Zoho is bootstrapped. It's an amazing company, but Freshworks, then iCertis, Drua, and Postman, and all of these. This is really and those are the really the hero companies. And I think I would say, if the on the Western point of view, when you talk about Indian brands, they don't know so much about our sexy B2C companies. They heard about Flipkart a bit, but they really know these companies, right? So this is this the other paradox. Like in the mind share in the West, it's these B2B companies. So the story here is that Indian startups have a playbook now, and they know how to leverage the Bangalore Bay Area corridor. Begin in Bangalore, get your seed funding and all that from the VCs here. Start, and there's a ready playbook. There's a clear and the top-down GTM story is really clear. They know what to do, when to hire your first head of enterprise sales, how to get to PMF, then how to expand there. A lot of the VCs also help them with ideas on how to expand. Now, thanks to Postman, you've also got what's called the PLG book, which is a product-led growth book, right? Where you don't do top-down sales, where you wait for your developers, for example, to kind of adopt the product, and then probably your head of sales will come and probably get a contract. So the SaaS playbook has got more defined and refined. And the SaaS playbook, when I say it's a global SaaS playbook, uh, parallelly, there's a small trend, what we call SaaStra, which is SaaS transaction. OfBusiness is a great example. There are many others as well. Khata Book, hopefully. Then Class Plus, Procol, Mar, Camp, where what entrepreneurs say is we'll sell SaaS, typically SMB SaaS, or give it free. But the hope is that we will hook the customer and sell either financing or help them sell to their customers better. So we call it SaaStra, and that's again a moniker that we've coined, SaaS plus transaction or SaaS enabled marketplaces. And that's an area that Bloom finds particularly interesting and extra. So that's a SaaS story. And the on the I'll quickly go to the fintech and e-commerce one. Let's just take fintech first. Fintech has really been the power of payments, and that's been the hero sector. The other sectors in fintech are like wealth management, then there is lending, and finally there is insurance. But the excitement has been around payments, and really I think the real driver of that has been our swanky public digital infra. Our bridges don't pale in comparison to China. Our infrastructure is not as shiny and sparkly as China's, but our public digital infrastructure is incredible. Like that's on par with the best in the world. And thanks to UPI, Aadhar, the entire kind of you could see in the growth of fintech in India. So that's what I want to stress about fintech. And finally, about e-commerce, e-tailing. Um, It isn't a very large sector by any means. If you look at China, for example, one fourth of their retail economy is digital, right? India, for example, um, we have like a 800 billion retailing sector, 800 to 900 depending on what you add, etc. And our e-tailing economy is 50, which is around 6%, roughly 6-7%. It's very small, and that too thanks to the last 2 years where it's virtually doubled. And a lot of that has been eaten up by like the two dominant parties, Amazon and Flipkart. So growth in India, the excitement in India, all comes from the non-horizontal players, whether it's vertical players like Myntra, Meesho now, which is aggressively getting into it, Lenskart, First Cry, and so on and so forth. Or, for example, social commerce, Meesho was there. Now they've moved away from social commerce. Dealshare, another example. City Mall, example of social commerce. Or, for example, quick commerce, which have done Zoho and Zepto now. So India is a country of amazing innovation in the formats, right? And a lot of it's also to because they see it in the West and they say, hey, this has happened in the West, we can bring it to India fast. And this is also because India is a very what I call over-ventured economy. And so when you look at India one, and I gave the example of Mexico as a metaphor for India one, in 2018, now I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but in 2018, I saw that Mexico's venture industry was 100 million large, and India then was like, at the early stage one, it was 2.2 billion. So India's early stage venture economy was 22x Mexico's. And like, so this whole combination of people like us with all our degrees or either abroad or from India, then the easy navigation between Silicon Valley and the Silicon Valley or Indus Valley of okay, and sort of this over representation that we have, people like us, leads to an over ventured market. And so I always get these like when you look at Turkey, for example, and all that, they don't have a very large venture industry, but India is very large by for its income standards and